YouTube, what's going on? My name is Argon and welcome back to the channel. The gameplay you're seeing is me going 18-4 on London docks. Got all my streaks. I was running the recon, aircraft, glide bomb, and artillery barrage. Class I'm using is a PPSH with airborne division. I'm running extended mags and rapid fire. This is by far my best game. I went 18-4 total. So sit back and enjoy that while we talk about today's topic. Now today I want to talk to you guys about a tweet I put out earlier today where I was talking about if you want to make yourself dumber, go read the Flat Earth Society's website. Their frequently asked questions, basically where they're defending their position on the Flat Earth. So if those of you maybe don't know anything about Flat Earth Society, there's actually a lot of people out there in the world that still believe that the Earth is flat. Some of these people are like the rapper B.O.B. and Kyrie Irving, among other people. And so their theory here is the Earth is a flat disk with the North Pole in the center and Antarctica as a wall on the circumference of that disk, and that the perimeter of the Earth, or whatever you want to call it, is an ice wall which is preventing the oceans from flooding out. So this is basically their theory. A lot of the stuff that they're explaining as to why is just, it's really ridiculous and it's really frustrating. So I'm making this video to kind of debunk what they're saying. So the first thing they're claiming, besides their representation of what the Earth is really like, is that all these pictures that are out there showing the Earth being round and all the space societies claiming that they've been to space, it's all a hoax. All the NASA work that we've done is part of a conspiracy now, actually back in the 60s, to see who could get to the moon first. You may or may not have seen the speech JFK gave on that, but yeah, basically in the 60s we're in a race with Russia to see who could get to the moon first. We of course won it, but a lot of people think that we faked it. There's still a lot of stuff on the internet about faking the moon landing. I kind of find it believable that you might want to fake it to try and win that, from a propaganda standpoint, but at the same time, it's kind of a big conspiracy to pull off. If you guys ever listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, he would say, why would all these people be a part of this conspiracy? What is the purpose? What's the benefit? How can you manage to get hundreds of thousands of people involved in a conspiracy? What's the purpose of that, right? Doesn't make any sense. So for that reason, just the logistics of pulling it off, it doesn't make a lot of sense. They also believe that all the pictures that you see of the Earth being round and all this other stuff, it's all fake. That it's Photoshop and none of it's real, and it's all been manipulated to look round and perpetuate this theory, or false news if you want to call it, that the Earth is really round. Again, why? That's the main question there. It's not really something that you can debunk necessarily. It's just like saying, why? Who benefits? So the main purpose of their argument and why they believe what they believe is that the world looks flat, therefore it must be flat. So they're basing their whole argument off, if you see it, it has to be true. So we as humans, when we observe things, we see the Earth to be flat where we're standing. That's where they get that theory from. You can't Photoshop what you're seeing, right? Makes sense. One of the experiments that they are quoting in this article that they posted online also is this thing called the Bedford level experiment, which basically was some guy that apparently went out to the ocean and measured like somehow level of the ocean, I guess you could say. I don't know how he did it. I didn't read into it, but because it's already BS. He basically went over a 6-mile stretch of ocean and was able to prove that the Earth was flat by covering 6 miles of the ocean. Now, in order for me to explain this, why this is wrong, we have to talk a little bit about geometry. Hopefully, you guys paid a little bit of attention to geometry and trigonometry back in high school or college, whenever you took it, if you took it. There's a thing in that subject called the small angle theory. So basically, if you take a circle, from the center point to the outer edge of the circle, which is called the perimeter, by the way, that line from the center to the perimeter is called a radius. If you take an angle between two different points on the outer edge of a circle, that's called a, theta, or whatever angle you want to call it. So the little curved line between these 2 points on the perimeter of the circle is called an arc. Now, if you draw a straight line from 2 points on the perimeter of a circle, that's called a chord. Now, what happens is, if you shrink the angle in between these 2 points, so for example, you would take the 2 points and bring them closer to each other on the perimeter of the circle, the closer these 2 points reach each other, you actually close that angle down quite a bit. So the smaller the angle gets, the closer the chord represents and mimics the arc of the circle. This is called the small angle theory. Basically what it says is, for a small enough angle, the chord equals the arc. That's exactly what's happening at the Earth's surface. The Earth's radius is so large that a 6-mile stretch on the surface of the Earth, which may seem like a long distance to us, is actually so small of an angle that the chord basically looks like the arc. So that's why it looks flat. So this whole argument, what we see is what it really is just really a matter of perspective. If the Earth's radius is almost 4,000 miles, then 6 miles is really, really, really nothing. It's not a large enough scale to be able to measure any type of curvature. So the next thing they talk about is how there's no gravity either. If you've ever taken physics before, gravity, we all know, we've heard of it. It's, you know, your weight is equal to your mass times gravity, which is 9.8 meters per second squared. But what that really is, that number is a constant, because what gravity really is a force between two masses. In our case, it's our body and then Earth. But the problem is Earth is so massive, the Earth's gravitational force on us as people is just constant, always will be, because it's so big. That's where that 9.8 meters per second squared comes from. The gravitational force is literally directly proportional to one object's mass, the other object's mass, and the distance between them. That's as simple as it gets. This explains everything that goes on in our universe. It explains how the Earth spins. It explains how the Earth orbits the sun. It explains how all the other planets orbit the sun. It explains how the moon orbits the Earth. It all explains everything. What they're saying is that the Earth, the flat Earth, is actually just constantly accelerating upwards. They say that it's constantly gaining speed. It's moving upwards at a constant acceleration, and that's why we feel gravitational force, that it's really the effect of the Earth constantly moving upwards at the same accelerated rate, that you don't ever actually have real gravity, you just feel like there's gravity. This would be kind of like if you could be sitting in an elevator that could be accelerating upwards forever. What they don't explain is what's causing this. When our theory of regular traditional physics, we have explanations for this. That's what gravity does. The gravitational force explains everything, explains how all dynamic motion exists. But in their theory, there's no explanation. They say dark energy moves Earth upward. They don't say upward to where. They don't say where it's going. Will it ever hit anything? None of that. And then they go into some really complicated physics to explain why, you know, if we're constantly accelerating, that we would never actually reach the speed of light, because that would be something that would be considering, you know, if you're at a constant acceleration, your velocity will continue to increase at the same rate forever. And that's completely against all physics. We just don't have that kind of thing anywhere, right? So they just leave a lot of holes in their argument. They completely ignore Newtonian physics, which is classic physics, you know, gravitational force, electromagnetism, that kind of thing. And they take instead this really obscure theoretical physics that Einstein came up with when it comes to speed, or, you know, speed of light and relativity and all this sort of thing, just to explain something that they ultimately don't have a real explanation for, which is this dark, you know, quote unquote, dark energy that is driving the Earth upward at the same rate. That doesn't explain, in their theory, why the sun and moon spin around the Earth's surface at a certain altitude but never actually hit the Earth's surface. They don't explain that motion at all. That would actually be more realistic for gravity. You know, they're not explaining it, so it is what it is. So basically, guys, I know that's a lot of information. I don't know if any of it makes sense to you guys. Read into this stuff if you want. It's basically what it comes down to is them saying, we don't see it, therefore it doesn't exist. Only thing that exists is what we see, which is just total BS. So I really hope none of you guys out there really believe this is true. I really hope this whole website is just a troll, but I know there's a lot of people that actually believe it, and it's just unfortunate. What do you guys think? Do you guys like these type of urban legends, or I don't know what you want to call them, conspiracy theories? You know, there's the ones about the moon landing, dinosaurs not existing. If you guys want to talk about those, let me know in the comment section below. I'll dig into them a little bit for you. So I hope you guys did enjoy this. If you did, leave a like. If you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're not following me on social media, all the links are down in the description below. And as always, guys, my name is Argon. I'll see you next time. Peace.